Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Christ and Noel, welcome back to the latest episode of Fearless and Devotion with me, Tim. I am joined by Andy. I am joined by Liam. First things first, we are sponsored by the Fat Boar. As always, go and spend your readies down at their wonderful establishment. Visit fidpodcast.com for all your other worldly delights, which we'll be discussing later on, something interesting which you can get involved with. And we've also got another live night. So I want to thank everybody who came along the other day. It was really, really enjoyable. Paul Rutherford stood in for Luke Young at last minute, because obviously Luke has now joined Sligo Rovers over in Ireland. So thank you to Paul Rutherford for stepping in alongside Dior Angus. Some great stories. Both are now teachers. Well, Dior's a teacher and Ruthers is about to become a teacher. And then we had Mia and Rosie, some great stories there. Hey?
It's a big loss to B&Q, that.
It was a big loss to be. He's got 5 shifts left as of the moment, I think. So yeah, Mia Roberts came along, Rosie Hughes came along, some great stories there from the women's side of the game. Barry Horn. Barry Horn was ruthlessly funny, has to be said. He looked like he was going to kill us all to begin with, because he was running over by a few minutes, and then he took to the stage like a duck to water, to be honest. Held court really well. Definitely one for a longer one, I'd say. Some great stories. But thanks to everybody who came along, made it a success. Next one is on November the 26th, 2 days before we are due to play Portsmouth at home. One of those players who played for us and Portsmouth briefly was Glenn Little. He has tentatively said he's going to be coming along to that one, so we're very, very confident getting him. He's all sort of semi-confirmed for it, if you like. So that, we've got Crazy Legs Joe Clark coming along as well, so that should be a laugh. And we've got a few other irons in the fire regarding that one, but tickets are on sale now at a reduced price until the end of this month. So we brought it down to a tenner, which is unreal. I mean, £12.50 is unreal value, but a tenner.
It's 4 hours.
It's our gift to you for your endless support to this pod and the live nights and everything in between. So go and get them now. They're available on the MG website or via the fidpodcast.com website. Let's dive in, because we've got a fairly...
Sorry, can we just mention the newsletter? The newsletter is £15 until Monday. That's when the introductory offer runs out. So if you want the newsletter for £15 British, you can get it before Monday, and then as soon as the season kicks off, it's going back to its normal price. But the introductory offer is there. I'm sending a special Cardiff-centric newsletter. So every now, it's not just one a week, you get little extras as well. So please. £15 is less than your average Wrexham AFC membership fee. We'll come to that shortly as well. Let's dive into before we get to Cardiff, we've got a Cardiff pod coming on in a bit. And Chris Wathan.
And yeah, we've got Chris Wathan as well. We've recorded with him. We've got Ben coming on from the view from the Ninian. Before we get into all that, there is a topic of conversation. There's always a topic of conversation in Wrexham, isn't there? There's always something. Ticketing, that has hit the headlines. That has hit the fan, I suppose. The proverbial has hit the fan on that one. Andy, just give us an overview of what's going on with this, because it's already kind of directly affected you in the last few days, hasn't it?
Email from the club yesterday saying that there are no general sale tickets anymore. Everyone who wants to buy a ticket needs to have a membership, which I can sort of understand, but I think the timing of the email, where away tickets have already been out for a little bit, it's late. It's late to say that. I'm just going to give you an example. Before this email dropped yesterday, Millwall tickets came out. So Millwall is really close to my work. So I said to my workmates, anyone fancy coming? You know, a lot of them watch the documentary, would love to come to a Wrexham game. So I had orders for about 4 or 5. There's enough season tickets of people who aren't going on my network to get those people tickets. So I got them. And then we got the email saying that anyone who needs a ticket, it has to be linked to their membership. So they have to buy a membership to get their ticket. So this now becomes a lot more expensive to people who may only go to like 1 or 2 games a season. I mean, that's just an example. There's lots of examples all the way around how you can't transfer tickets between members, but season tickets can. How everything is now digital, and if there's a physical ticket, you can't pick it up from the ticket shop. It has to be posted to you at extra cost. There's still no loyalty scheme, even though there's everything does exist in the digital world. I think that's it, Liam. Have I missed anything?
I think you summed it up pretty well, to be honest. I just think we need to be a bit better at communication still. This goes back many years to when the takeover first started, when, things came through in drips and drabs. It still feels like in some cases it's a bit more responsive than it is proactive. So there was the email went out with the Cardiff tickets with no link to download the ticket attached. Just little things like that, where you had that email where it was saying about making ticketing easier, where you had to have tutorials to teach people how to get their season tickets on their phones. If you've got to do a tutorial, it is not making ticketing easier.
It's making ticketing more convenient for the club, that we can get more money for membership and harness email addresses, and I get that, and I understand it, but I do sort of feel that you're sort of excluding the fan who might want to come once or twice during the season, and we're trying to make this club as inclusive for all, aren't we?
There's a fine line between a closed shop cash grab, which is what it's kind of been looked at and mooted at in one sort of view, and then trying to drive your membership numbers up. Because like we just said before coming on air, let's say we do well in the playoffs and we get to Wembley. What do you do then? Does everybody who wants to go to Wembley has to buy a membership to get a ticket for that game? Or, in their infinite wisdom, do they then make an exemption for that game and go, don't worry about it, just buy your ticket? And then that undermines the entire process to begin with. So if you're going to set your stall out like this now, I think Wrexham fans, we can deal with a lot of change on the pitch in quite a rapid manner, because we've had to. When stuff behind the scenes like this happens, and there's a lot of change, especially the ticketing side of things, because it affects everybody. Like, let's not forget the amount of anxiety it causes when it's like fastest finger first, especially lower down divisions, like Marine away. There's 3,000 people vying for 900 tickets or something. That is quite a big anxiety-ridden process anyway. So to add all these layers on top, it's kind of clear as mud to some people who'll be looking at it and go, okay, so what have I got to do again? Who needs what now? And then I get this, and then I can't transfer it over. There needs to be some clarity. We need some clarity, and putting out a tutorial or something on the socials, which not everybody's got, by the way. Lest we forget that there are older heads who don't deal with online stuff. We don't, they still read the papers, and that's that. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less.
Should read the papers.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, they're supposedly making it easier for the fans, but they're only trying to make it easier for a certain demographic of fans, and that's not the case. So if you're going to come out with all this ticketing stuff and so much sea change in a short space of time, you better come out and do a video thing. Get the head of ticketing and say, this is the reason why we're doing it. This is the justification for doing it. They're not going to do that unless the outcry or the sort of, the way it's been met with such disdain is sustained, and it'll just get brushed under the carpet otherwise. We're not one for beating the club down. We never have done, really, unless we've absolutely had to. But this just seems like a huge backward step, and something that's just hasn't been very well thought out. I mean, just to read you a couple of comments from a post that Andrew Morris put up about it. It was particularly in line with the whole thing of, we have to now get sort of physical tickets sent out. You think physical tickets should be less this season, you would think, but that there are going to be occasions where that does happen. But there's Brian Roberts has put, there's definitely somebody in the back office whose job it is to think up stupid rules that are reversed a year later. Conversely, Wayne SC has put, we all celebrate the venture capital that allows us to sign all these players, revamp the stadium and dream of being in the Premier League, but act surprised when venture makes decisions to maximise returns on their investment. This was always going to happen. Owen Roberts, membership makes sense a little, restricted dodgy ticket resale sites, which obviously Liverpool and other teams have clamped down on, maybe trying to follow suit in that regard. But he says that the physical ticket postages are fast, it makes it unnecessarily complicated last year, and then their fix is to make people pay more money. Surely someone at the club will realise how stupid these decisions are. Taking tickets off sale 3 days before a game with no notice is poor too. There's a lot of people there that there's not many. You struggle to find anybody that goes, oh yeah, I can see why they're doing it. And then
I can see why they're doing it, mate. I can see why they want to get as many members paying £25 as possible. I absolutely get why they're doing it, but I just want Wrexham to be an all-inclusive club. Yeah. That it's a club that is quite dear to a lot of people in Britain, not just us rank and file fans, but other people who've got the documentary who may want to go and see a match in and around their area. And if they have to pay a membership before they can even get a ticket, it becomes less possible for them to do it.
Yeah.
How many memberships are we even on? Like, I don't think anyone actually knows. It's got to be a huge amount now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where we're at with that, but to me, I can understand the fume and the anger, but is there much understanding from us as fans, realistically, from the club's point of view? I think we just need to get a bit more clarity and reasoning behind it, because without that clarity and reasoning, we're all scratching our heads, going, almost feels in some regard, almost feels like a punishment. It's really, really odd. But like Wayne SC said, maybe it was always going to happen in that regard. So people are going to try and maximise on their investment.
Wayne, for one, welcomes our capitalist overlords.
Look, I think, like Andy said there, is there fairness in charging people who might want to come to one or two games? But I'm sure there's been occasions where I've had to sign up for something to go and watch a gig somewhere. So
you have to pay £25 for something that for 12. If there's a lifetime membership, I get it. Lifetime membership, absolutely fine. All right, okay, you can use that again and again to buy tickets, but for £25 per year, and that doesn't seem as great value. And I don't know what benefits you get as a member other than you're able to get tickets. So it's sort of it's just putting a barrier in the way to come and watch.
I'm astonished that you mentioned it. Right, I'm astonished that this loyalty scheme is not even remotely serviced. It's been mentioned for the last how many years now, and you'd like to think, okay, let's say they've started collating data from the takeover, then we're several years deep now for them to start implementing that. I would assume that implementation is going to come in when the COP's built. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know why. I just think it's you've kind of got everything set up ready to go then. But yeah, I think we're probably the only team in the division that doesn't have a loyalty system. Probably, I'm guessing. Definitely one of the few.
Been kicked down the can's been kicked down the road since the start, hasn't it?
Yeah, but at what point? It's one of those, isn't it? I mean, everybody at the moment, there's no loyalty scheme, so everybody's got like a fair crack, whether you've been to one game or 1,000 games. And when that does come in, again, like everything, you're going to get pros and cons to it. So we'll cross that bridge as and when it happens, I suppose.
Tim, do we want to quickly do the transfers, or should we go for our first Cardiff preview and then do transfers?
Let's get the Cardiff boys in, because everybody knows about the transfers more often than not, but we'll come back to that. So who we have from the View from the Ninian pod is Ben James. So let's get Ben in, and then we can...
we will in a minute.
we will. He's not here yet, so we'll roundly boo him. Boo birds. That's what we should be called them.
How are you getting down there on Monday?
I'm on the Turf Fun bus, so that should be interesting. There's the last few spaces. I've jumped on that. And Transport for Wales and their Infinite Wisdom put on a late train back. Didn't sort of push it, didn't promote it. They've just chucked the late night train on 10:30. Going back, gets you to Wrexham for 2:30 in the morning. Fucking no use to anybody with less than a week to go. But that's Transport for Wales. They don't give a shit about anybody above $100. But there we are. Ben, from the View from the Ninian, with that wonderful, wonderful porn star moustache thing going on. It is glorious. Can you hear us loud and clear, sir? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, I can hear you all perfectly.
Happy days. How are you? Are you kind of wishing the weekend away like I am?
A little bit, yeah. I was speaking to someone yesterday. I was wishing the game was tomorrow. I feel like a Sunday midday 1:00 game for this would have been lovely. Really set us up going into Monday when you could be hungover at work, and who cares? Yeah. I mean, what's obviously a huge success last season, sort of had to take a big step back to take a good leap forward again, because I think it's fair to say, knowing a couple of my Cardiff friends, they kind of got probably a little bit desensitized about the Championship. They've just been there for forever after dropping down, been there forever. You're not really getting anywhere. And it was the same old story. Fucking how many times do you want to go to Stoke and either eke out a draw or a crap loss or whatever? Is it fair to say that in a strange way, it's kind of relit a fire amongst Cardiff fans, like last season, to sort of enjoy
different places not many have not been to for a while and enjoy the football again under Barry Murphy after kind of a catalogue of errors under the likes of Reza and a few of the managers there.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you talk to any fan, you'd think, you'd look back at when Steve Morrison came in. I think that was 2022, and we basically circled the drain for a few seasons. The Errol Bullitt season, where we finished 12th aside, we were sort of 18th, 19th, bottom six every season, and then getting relegated it wasn't a surprise. It was more expected than it was a surprise. So I don't think anyone was really surprised when that happened. And I think you're right. We first got promoted to the Championship in 2003. And I think that first season was exotic. Even then, we were playing teams like Crewe, which felt massive at the time. And then after 20 years of that, you go into Stoke again. I went to Stoke in 2024. We drew 0-0. And I just thought, why have I done this? I went to Preston in the last season we were in the Championship. It was a Tuesday night and we drew 2-2. And I took a day off work to go to Preston. And I was like, why am I doing this to go to Preston? But then last season was great. I think the reality was last season we won some games and we played some good football. Obviously, BBM came in the summer and has kind of completely revitalised the way we play football. He's trusted the youth. You've got people like Cian Ashford, Dylan Lawler, Ruben Colwell, Joel Colwell, his brother, all starting most games. He did what we wanted in trusting the youth and got us playing really good football. And I think I didn't see us lose last season. I went to sort of 16, 17 away games, a few home games, and we won almost every game. I drew a couple and it was just really nice. I think that's what it comes down to, really. You're a football fan because you want to go and enjoy these things. And going to places like Burton was fun, even though we got a draw. Going to places like Wickham was fun, even though we got a draw. But it was new grounds, new places. And it was like the core fans were going to these places and we were all having fun. So last season was great, and I am glad we got promoted, as much as I'm bemoaning going to places like Stoke and Preston again, because a club like us, we need to be in the Championship and should be in the Championship. But last season was a kind of palate cleanser before what's to come, I think.
Just a couple more from me before I bring the other lads in. You touched on it there about the sort of the youth players coming through, and a lot of my Cardiff mates have not been shy in letting us know that, well, we're bringing all the young kids through for the Wales team, and you're bringing nobody. I'm like, well, you don't get academy funded in National League, so we're a little bit way behind on that front. Just give us an idea of, because obviously back in the day we had this Brian Flynn kind of production line at Wrexham where we'd sort of nurture some young players, sell them on because we had no choice. What's the situation at Cardiff in terms of the academy side of things? Because I'm interested, because it's something that Wrexham want to do. We have these sort of maybe one or two players that where there is a pathway to the first team, but they're few and far between. And it's something that I think Wrexham as a club want to return back to and get some more young players coming through that system. But that academy side of things is still way off yet. So what is the setup at Cardiff, and did a lot of investment go into that?
I think a lot of investment went into it, but then a lot of investment has come back out of it again. I think we're kind of caught between, category 1 is where you want to be, and I don't think we're quite there. I think we're kind of the next stage below it. But I think what we're doing really well at the moment is we're mopping up a lot of players from other systems across the UK, but we're also bringing through our own young players. You've got people like, at the moment, Tankovic, who's 16, 17. You've got Paul Moreno, who's 16, 17, who are coming through as the young players now. And then we've got the players who are in the first team, such as Cian Ashford, Isaac Davis, Dylan Lawler, the ones who are starting and are playing most weeks. And they've come back through. But for a long time, I mean, if you go back sort of 10 years ago, we were really struggling to bring those young players through. I think one of our biggest success stories of the kind of mid-2000s was a player called Ben Nugent, who ended up playing sort of, I think we signed him from somewhere like Welling Garden City. And he ended up playing, I think, the last called Cambodian football. So it's not been a very straight path for us. You look at Chris Gunter, Aaron Ramsey 15, 16 years ago. They were the big success stories. Joe Ledley, another one. Then there's been a big gap. And now all of a sudden we're reaping rewards. And I think that's because we do have a bit of a golden generation. We've got sort of 6 or 7 players who can play first team football. But we've also got a manager who has made that his thing. BBM was at the Man City under-21s. He was built his career around coaching those young players and bringing them through to the first team. Omar Reza didn't care about that. Errol Bullitt didn't really care about that. He played people like Cian Ashford from time to time, but he wouldn't trust them the way that BBM did last season. So I think we're reaping the rewards of a really good kind of crop of youngsters and a manager who's playing them. But I'm not, with the players that are coming through now, be interested to see what happens in 2 or 3 years' time and whether that changes again, because we seem to flop between wanting to trust our youth team players and not wanting to trust them.
Yeah, 100%. No, interesting stuff. Obviously, you and Swansea are the best of friends in the South Wales derby.
Yeah.
There's a few people BBC, calling it an all Wales affair. Is it a Welsh derby, Ben? And why is the answer yes?
Well, I think we talked about this on The View from the Ninian. We talked about it being a rivalry rather than a derby. And I think the reason we took that is because I think geographical proximity is a bit different, right? Swansea are our neighbours. They hate us for so many reasons. We hate them for so many reasons. And we've played them very consistently over the last sort of 10, 15 years now that it's become a really hateful derby. I think with you guys, it could be a derby, but there's just lacking that animosity in the middle, I think. We haven't played you for quite a long time. Obviously, last season was the first time in, I can't remember, must be 15, 20 years? And going back to when Danny Gabardon was playing for us, I think in the early 2000s. And I think we haven't built up that animosity that makes it a derby yet. So I think if we're able to stay in the Championship for the next few years, it's got the potential to become a derby. I'm getting into the semantics here. I appreciate that. But I think for now, it's very much a Welsh rivalry that could become a derby. I mean, did Parky called it a derby, didn't he?
Yeah, I like the fact that the characteristic for you is animosity that makes it a derby. And this proximity, for me, it's just historically, it was always known as a Welsh derby back in the day, the sort of 90s and stuff, when it was more of a regular thing. But I think all those components combined, the sort of the hatred, yes, it's a 4-hour drive one way, etc. But I'll still have it down as a derby. And I'll bring one of the other lads in, secure in my own.
And I think on that point, all I'd say is that I don't necessarily have that same. I think I was becoming a fan in the 90s, so I don't necessarily remember those moments. So therefore, and when I was in the early 2000s starting to go watch Cardiff, I remember going to watch you play in the LDV Vans Trophy final at Millennium Stadium because I liked you guys and I wanted to support you guys when you were kind of in the doldrums, which is probably a word I shouldn't use, but when you're on the kind of downward path in that sense. So I've always had a bit of kind of affection for you guys. So therefore, for me personally, it doesn't necessarily translate as a derby. I just think now that we're back playing each other regularly, hopefully it could very much become that, because I can imagine there's going to be a lot of renewed rivalries there.
Yeah.
Ben, animosity. I'll put some windows through on you, Greg's.
Please do.
Yeah, so
we've got too many of them in Cardiff.
I'll stoke that up a little bit. Are you a bit worried that you haven't really made a lot of signings? I know you've come up from League One. You know how hard the Championship is. You're putting a lot of trust in these youngsters, but do you need some reinforcements? And is there money there if you did get the right sort of target?
I wasn't worried, but I think I am getting increasingly worried now with 2 weeks left to go of the window. I think the main headline from us this summer was we were chasing that Jens Hieto Dahl, who ended up at Hull. We were talking of sort of £7 or £8 million worth of bids for him. Obviously, he ended up going to Hull. It felt like we probably got used in the process by their agents somewhat, but we were chasing a player who was very good and would have made an absolute difference to our team. So that suggests there is money there. We missed out on him, and now I think we need to kind of reflect and figure out where we need to sign the players. I trust our young players, and I trust BBM. And I think that's the key thing. We now have the system that works, and we have a manager who's going to get the best out of the players that he's got going back into the Championship. I do think we do need some reinforcements. We lost Ryan Wintle in the summer, who was our number 6 and our captain. We need another number 6 because we're a bit short there. Defensively, we're going through all manner of injury problems at the moment, with Lawler being out, with Will Fish being out currently. So we're a bit short defensively. We're just about to sign a cover at left back, which is crucial. And I still think we need a bit of pace on the wings and another potential striker. So I'm starting to get worried. I wasn't necessarily worried now, but I think our first team is going to be good enough. It's just then what happens when injuries come in and we get a bit short that we're going to start to struggle. So ask me again in a week and I'll probably be petrified.
Yeah. So there is 7 million there. I mean,
apparently so.
Yeah. I'm always sort of fascinated by the ownership structure in Cardiff. I mean, obviously Vincent Tan's been there for a long time. I know he doesn't really come to games, but does he sort of just let the club run itself, or does he meddle as much as he used to?
I think he is back to a little bit of meddling. So basically, the structuring is in a sense that Vincent Tan has ultimate control over the club. He's our majority stakeholder. There's nobody else who really has any sort of stakeholding that kind of impacts what he does. We have 2 people on the ground who run the club day to day. That's Mehmet Dalman, our chairman, and Ken Chu, who are our CEO. Ken Chu also runs a car sales dealership. Mehmet Dalman has spent his time at Cardiff often trying to buy other football clubs. So you have to ask the question what they're doing day to day. Vincent Tan Doesn't come to games so much, but what I would say in his defence is he's still putting a lot of money into this club. He's converted some of his debt to equity this summer to kind of bring in a cash injection of around £30 million, I think, over the next couple of seasons, which is probably where the money's coming from. Brian Barry Murphy went to see him in the summer, went out to Malaysia for a week and had, I think, a couple of meetings with him. BBM's talked about how Tan is backing him in the transfer window. He was apparently very close to the negotiations for Dahl, which then eventually fell through. It's the most I've seen him engaged in seasons. You go back to people like Malky Mackay, and the reason that him and Malky Mackay fell apart was because he thought he was spending his money wrong and ripping him off, basically. I don't think he gets that with BBM, and I think the reason he trusts BBM is because he knows he's not going to do that. He's not going to sign players who then we end up selling back to the same club we sold them for £1 million. So that's not BBM's game. He gave BBM a new contract. It's the most I've seen him back a manager in that sense as well. A 3-year deal when we've usually signed managers on a 1-year rolling contract. So it's a tough one because I think a lot of fans would rather Tan wasn't there, would rather we had a different ownership structure. But I don't know who can come in and buy the club at the valuation that Tan probably wants. And I don't think Tan's going to give it up that easy. So we're kind of stuck with him for now. And I think as long as he can be engaged enough to put some money in and keep the club afloat, I'll be happy with that. As long as he doesn't meddle with the badge, the kit and everything else, then even better. Obviously, there's a lot of animosity there towards him that a lot of fans haven't let go.
Ben, we're always interested to ask people what their view is of the Wrexham story, for want of a better phrase. There's a mixture of reaction. We get a lot of hatred online, but often when I speak to people in person, they seem to get it. What's your view?
Look, I really liked your story up until you got promoted and we got relegated, and I started hating it, to be honest. No, look, I mean, I think it's a fascinating thing what Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney have done for your football club and have done for Wrexham as a whole. They've put you on a map like nobody else could, right? I was there for obviously the Carabao Cup game, and I remember going to the club shop the next day just because I had time to kill. And there were Australian people who clearly just come over just to go to Wrexham and go to the club shop, and that is an incredible thing. And I think I was all on board when it happened. And I remember hearing about the news for the first time, and I couldn't believe that you had these two world famous actors. Ryan Reynolds is probably the most famous actor in the world at the time, wanting to buy Wrexham. And I think from a footballing Welsh point of view, from a narrative point of view, I was all in at that point. And I think it's amazing the fact that they've come in and they've been able to make it a success as well. There is a little part of me that there's a nagging doubt that it's all what it seems. And I think that's probably just me being a bit skeptical, but also on the outside. I think for you guys, you've got to ride the wave as best you can, right? And they are injecting money into the football club and taking you potentially to the Premier League whenever it may happen. And from a fellow football fan point of view, I'm jealous of that. And I'm excited for you guys to be on that wave. But then as the skeptic in me is probably just going, when's it all going to fall apart? And then how do you pick up the pieces from that? And I don't know if that happens, right? They might be in it forever. They might make it as sustainable as possible, but there's always that doubt in my mind. And I think what I would say as a neutral football fan at the time when you guys were, I live in London. I've been to see you guys play Dagenham and Redbridge 3 or 4 times. I've come to watch you guys. I got on board with those early days because I wanted you guys to be a success. It's only as you've gotten bigger and potentially more arrogant from the outside with it that I think it puts us other football fans off, to be honest. But if I'm being completely frank, I'm just happy for you guys because it was tough for you guys in the conference. It felt like you were a kind of mistreated plaything for so many people, and the fact you've got owners who really give a shit and really care is an amazing thing. So I'm all in on that point of view. It's just a jealousy thing and an arrogance thing that I don't like.
Yeah, we're sorry about Andy's arrogance. He's dreadful.
Not necessarily you guys, but what you see on Twitter and stuff. There's a lot of people who've kind of Johnny come latelys, as it were, who give it big when they haven't been there. I think is what I would say.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a really decent bumper crowd on Monday night. Is it just over 30,000 tickets sold?
Yeah. I think we've sold officially 28, and there's about 2,500 coming down from your ends, isn't there? So I think we've even potentially opened some of the red seats in the upper tier, which is a very rare thing. So it's looking great on Monday night.
Yeah, definitely. It should be a great one. What's your thinking in terms of predictions then? What are you thinking?
I would really like us to get off to the season with obviously a really good start. I think the team kind of picks itself at the moment, and I'm relatively comfortable with the team. It's not probably going to be too dissimilar to the team that started against in the Carabao Cup game. Obviously Fish aside, because he's out for 3 months with a hernia. It'll be the same sort of keeper, very similar defence, same attacking sort of players. So I can only see us winning at the moment. I only want, obviously, to go into to start the season on the front foot. Big crowd like that. I think it's a chance for us to beat a team who are going to take a lot of headlines this season and make a real statement to the rest of the league. And I think BBM will be impressed in that. So I can see us winning maybe 2-3-1. But I think it's going to be a pretty exciting game. But I am an eternal optimist. So maybe we'll temper that and go 2-1 to be precise.
There you go. Who's beating that? Who's beating a 3-1?
What do you guys think?
I'll let Liam and Andy go do their predictions next.
Andy, what are you saying?
I'd be happy with a draw, but I think we might sneak a win.
We haven't won there since 1992. I think we've only won twice. I stay there, Ninian Park. Yeah, Ninian obviously. Park. This is the men's first ever visit to the CCS. Obviously, women have played there.
That's crazy. It's been
it's
years.
It is wild.
I guess, yeah.
I would take a draw. I would take a 1-1 draw.
Take a draw. I think a 2-2 draw is a nice way to start the season. I've just got a feeling that, you're a young team who, you say you don't have a lot coming off the bench at the moment with your injuries. I wonder if just the experience we could bring off the bench in the second half may be able to grind out a narrow win. So I'm going to go 2-1.
I listened to your pod the other day, and I think it was one of your colleagues that said he was quite worried about Kiefer Moore either starting or coming off the bench. Obviously, he tends to score against you as well. Given that we haven't really signed another striker, I'd expect him to start as well. But I just think Parky owes us one, because me and Liam have been at pains about this last season. The amount of times we said it, that Carabao Cup stung, because it does matter. Anybody, regardless of the lack of crossing paths over the last 15, 20, 25 years where it is, it still matters. It matters to a certain demographic of fans who've been there, who've been to Ninian, who've seen the sort of chaos that surrounds those games. Not the same as the Swansea game, but there's a certain spice to it you can't get, and that's why I'm buzzing for Monday. It's going to be great. I think if we get an early goal, we'll go on to win it. If it stays level at the break, it's anybody's. But I think I'm going to go with the idea that we're going to get an early goal. So I think I'm going to sneak it 2-1. These are never, they're not goal-laden matches, are they? There's too much running on it. So Parky owes us. He owes us. So yeah. You better get it right. I'm going to go 2-1 Wrexham, and that makes the season great. If we lose it, it kind of ruins your Christmas already, doesn't it? So there we are. Ben, tell people where they can find your pod, and we'll do a collab and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, great. Thank you for having me on, boys. Twitter.com/VFT Ninian. We're still on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube. Just search View from the Ninian. We're on all the audio platforms. We're everywhere you'd expect to find a podcast. And yeah. I'm really looking forward to Monday. I think you're right about Kiefer Moore. I would say that he always seems to score against us. So if he does start, I do expect him to score.
There we are. Fingers crossed. He needs a few goals. He sort of tailed off a bit, didn't he? So we'll see how that pans out. Ben, thank you so much for joining us. Kind of good luck for the rest of the season, apart from those 2 games, obviously.
Absolutely. Same to you.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, mate, and we'll be in touch.
Cheers, mate.
Okay, mate.
Cheers, you too. See you later.
I'm up for it now.
There's a human side of Cardiff I didn't think there was.
I just think, like, if you're going to rock that look, you can get away with it. It's a strong look on him. Fucking hell, his microphone's killing me. Yeah, I can't get away with that. I just can't grow a moustache. You two can. I'm shit at it. Mine's rubbish. So, shall we do, before we bring our friend Ryan Brewer in, who is a Wrexham fan from the States, very clever man, very techie, and there's a reason why we're bringing him on shortly. Mainly for us as well as you guys, but it's a very, very interesting thing that he's got for us. Before we get to that, transfers. 2 players that we've been looking at from Viking Stavanger, in brackets. Is it Henrik? How are we saying his name? Andy?
Falchener. I'm going to go Falchener.
Falchener. I think you're supposed to say it that way.
Is he any relation of our comms chief?
To who?
Falchener.
I don't know.
I'm going to say he's not. But okay. Right. Okay. What do we know about him? He's Viking Stavanger. They won the league for the first time in quite a while, and he was the centerpiece of their defense. He's right-footed, but he plays on the left. He's fucking massive.
And he played yesterday.
Yeah.
Played last night, got subbed off 62 minutes as part of a triple substitution. So I don't think it was an injury per se. Him and Christiansen, I think, is the other one that we're potentially looking at, striker. He scored.
Striker, yeah.
So it's between him and Souttar. Harry Souttar seems to be the sort of other name mentioned. There's a lot of question marks over him and his injury record. I want this big Norwegian dude. It's just exotic, isn't it? We haven't had a Norwegian. Well, the only Norwegian we've ever had at the club is Marius Rovda, goalkeeper from way back, who I think he's planning his trade out as a coach in the States, wasn't he, for a bit? Definitely met Ryan and he met Ryan before the takeover. But let's get him in. We're not going to get him in before Monday now. That's not going to happen. So, yeah. Do you think it's going to happen? Because I think Rich Fay put something out about the Viking, maybe the CEO, I can't remember now, but somebody high up who said, look, they have offered a obscene amount of reading between the lines, he said every player's got his price. Will it happen? Will we keep chucking at it and to get him in?
There's pros and cons on either. So Souttar, he's massive again. So obviously Parky wants an aerial dominant centre half, probably to play in the middle with Viner and Doyle either side. So he's looking at that. Souttar has championship experience. He has international experience. So, he's got that under his sort of under the bonnet, but he's injured a lot. And this other guy, he's only had one season really. One season since signing for only £300,000. So they're going to make a massive profit on him. I think the good thing about him is he seems a goal scoring centre half. So he scored 6 or 7 last season, which from a 30 odd game season is not a bad return. So that looks good, but he's untested. Now it could be that they've scouted him, they've used Nixon's models on him, they know about him, and they think the potential there is absolutely massive. Well, Souttar, the potential wouldn't be as high, but I think he's probably more ready to come into the first team. But
he's also averaged 13 games a season over the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, they have to make, if they're going to go for Souttar, they have to make sure in that medical that he is over these injury problems. Because if he isn't, and we spend all that money on a centre half who's not playing, obviously we don't have, the squad's not deep enough to really cope with that. So I think, personally, if I had to have one of them, I mean, I didn't even heard of Henrik Falchener before before the start of this week. But now he is all things to all men, and I think we should go for Henrik. Let's go for Henrik. Yeah, because I absolutely believe he will be the next £65 million defender leaving this club if we sign him now. So yeah, let's go and sign him. Massive Norwegian, won't take any shit. Will integrate well because he's from that part of the world, which is very Britophile. I think, go for him.
Integrate well because we've got nice mountainous terrain over here, and you can sort of go. It feels a bit like Norway.
He can take his longboat down the River Dee. He'll be absolutely fine.
Down the Granny, imagine that. Row, all that sort of stuff. Speaking of outgoings, Arthur, potentially. Parky was pressed on the goalkeeping situation in his press conference the other day, asked about where Anthony Patterson's arrival leaves Wardy, Callum Burton and Arthur Okonkwo. His reply was, we'll assess things as we go along before the close of the window. It says a lot without saying a lot, I think. They're just looking to cash in now, aren't they? I think Charlton and Bolton Wanderers, Wrexham 2.0 Bolton now with Ryan Hardy, Lewis Brunt, who obviously moved in midweek over there on a permanent deal, and Sam Dalby, Ryan Hardy, Lewis Brunt, possibly being joined by Arthur Okonkwo. I mean, how I feel about this. I love Arthur, and I'll be sad to see him go because again, if you look back and came in on loan, gets double promotion with Wrexham, and then is it a combination of he's been a victim of the club's success and a couple of high profile clangers and a supposed perceived element of distrust between Parky and him? Is that where we're at? Is that the sort of crossroads we've arrived at? It
feels like it, doesn't it? That feels like a pretty good summary of it. I mean, I'm just worried in all this that it's going to backfire on us if we let him go to another Championship club. You know, keepers develop later. Their peak of their game is later than in other areas of the pitch. And I thought Arthur was one where, you know, we could develop him over time. I understand that, you know, we've got to get players in who can get us to the Premier League now, but it just feels harsh on him. You know, previously he wasn't prone to a huge amount of clangers. Yes, he dropped one or two last season, but I think I'm just amazed that he didn't get offered a new contract. I genuinely am. You know, people talk about distribution, command of your area, etc., etc. But from what we hear from Sunderland fans, Patterson has some of those same issues. So, you know, what do you do? I'm a bit gutted about it, if I'm honest. I would have liked him to see him stay and develop, but that's not going to happen for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, let's see where we're at. Let's see where we're at, because a couple of weeks to go. It's unlikely he's going to be with us, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and get the tissues out then. We now have a fan from the States, Ryan Brewer.
This is like a magazine show this morning. We're going to bring Chris Wathan in later. It's like Football Focus.
It is. It does feel Football Focus. Now, I saw Ryan on a Newcastle pod yesterday because I was like, I want to see what he said. I know. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. I mean, first and foremost, for anybody who's listening on the audio, you might want to transfer to the YouTube stuff, because Ryan is almost certainly going to give us a screenshot PowerPoint presentation, sharing his screen and take us through what he's going to take us through. First and foremost, Ryan, welcome. Thank you for joining us. You've been helping us in the background do the fidpodcast.com thing, even though you said, I'll do it in the down low. We need you front and center to take us through what you're about to take us through. So tell us what it is, and tell us, like, the reaction that you've had already on the down low has been pretty good.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate it. This is exciting. And good morning. It's almost 3 a.m.
Oh,
so
wow.
Thank you for getting up for this. How many coffees
no problem. This is my second. But yes, this is, I'm on the West Coast, so in Northern California. So look, I've been a fan for a handful of years. And first of all, I want to say thank you for all the content. It's been a wonderful ride listening to you guys and learning football from all of you. So I appreciate that. And I know they say don't meet your heroes, but Reese isn't here, so I guess we're okay. Yeah. So ultimately, one of my favorite parts of your episodes is when you do predictions. And I love doing that. I do that with my son. We're try to call the score line, and I would write down your score. I'd be like, oh, Tim predicted this and Andy predicted this. And I would then check in on that, from time to time. But I thought to myself, how do we do this properly? I actually want to know who's really good at calling the score and who is not. And so let me just share my screen. And what I'll walk you through is I have built a system for all of us to call the score line each and every week. And let me pull this up here. This one here. So this is, if you visit, again, for the audio listeners, check out the YouTube. So if you go to fidpodcast.com and you click on predictions in the menu, it brings you to this page here, which is what we're calling Fearless Forecasts. So it's a very simple 3-step process. You call the score for every fixture, including cup games. After you call the score, you can edit your score as often as you'd like up until kickoff, and then you bank the points. So if you get the result wrong, you get 0 points. If you get the right result, like you call a win, a loss, or a draw for Wrexham, you get 2 points. And if you get one of the team's goal totals correct, you get 3 points total. And of course, if you get the exact scoreline bang on, you get 5 points. And that's for every fixture all season. And then, of course, you climb the table, because who doesn't love a table to climb? So this is where you do it. It's very simple. It is free to play. You just need a valid email address. And what we'll do here is you click play. This pops open. You put in your email address right here. We send you a code. So no passwords to remember. You don't have to remember any of that stuff. It just sends you an email. You put the code in and you get signed in. Then you choose your screen name. So let me switch screens here to one that's already logged in, because I don't want to expose my email to the masses of the internet.
Andy's got previous for doing that. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. So once you're signed in, the page is going to look like this. So I'm signed in as a user called FID fan. I just made that account. I chose to represent the flag of Wales for this account. And from here, you can choose up to the next 3 fixtures. And you can do them all at once, or you do one at a time. And then each week, another fixture unlocks to predict. So let's just say that I think on Monday, let's just say it's going to be, let's say it's a 1-2, win for Wrexham. As soon as I do that,
score.
Fantastic. I love it. So now that is saved. And once that locks in, I could come back and I could edit the score. I could change it to whatever I want throughout the day, all the way up until kickoff. So once I do that, let's just say we'll call this one, maybe we'll say this one's a draw. And then perhaps we're going to say this is going to be like a nice 3-1 victory here. So once I've made my predictions, now I get access to the league table. And this is where we can see the points that are coming through and everything that's going on. And actually, let me refresh this page here. So once this refreshes, you can return. And what you can do is really great is you can share your score. So you can click this button and this pops up and creates an image. You can send this straight to X, or you can send it to Facebook, whatever you want to do, and let you know what you picked. And then help spread the word, because it'll have a link to bring more folks in and those types of things. But what's really cool, I think, is once you've made your prediction, you can choose to see what everyone else predicted. However, in doing so, you can no longer edit your picks. Once you view the crowd, you're locked in. So in this case, I'm going to say keep editable, and that goes back, and I can still change my score. But as soon as I pick here and I click lock, it's now going to show me what the rest of the players have chosen. So in this case, this is a very lopsided. Everyone is thinking we're going to 74% win for Wrexham. And then this is kind of fun. You can view it by country.
Okay. Amazing.
So you can actually see which countries have chosen what. So we're kind of dominated by the US at the moment in terms of players.
I've just joined.
Fantastic. Joined. All right. I like it. So Andy is in. And so now that's where the predictions come in. Then after that, like I said, you get access to the table. And we have had one official game, was the Borough game, was scored. And we had 2 players, Lancaster Red and MK Smith, called it bang on. They got a full 5 points. I don't know where those folks are. Well, actually, I know that Lancaster Red is in the United States, at least by the flag that they are flying. And then this individual did not put one up. But as you can see here, we had Andy, you called it. The hosts are on the table separately. So feel free, Andy, to play as a undercover person as well. But ultimately, the hosts are on the table. And as you can see here, 94 people played the last match. Already. And so, Andy was here, tied for 4th. We had your guest. So each of your guests will get their predictions, should they give them on the table. I don't remember the gentleman's name, who that was last week, but he was from Borough, and he got it right as well, got the right result. So he has 2 points. And then if you come all the way down here, this account that I'm on is not... didn't score. This is me here, Chico Red. So watch for me on the table in the future. I did not get it correct. So I had 0 points, and I'm tied for 33rd with essentially the rest of the table. And Liam and Reese did not call a scoreline that I am aware of. So they did not get any points. Wow. So here's the deal. I mean, that's how it works. That's kind of the loop, right? Is you come make your prediction, you see how the score goes, and then ultimately you see where you land on the table. So now, look, we have 109 players, I think, as of this morning. So, which is amazing. And we haven't even properly promoted it until now. So I'm really excited to see how many people we can get in before Monday's kickoff. And then when you think about a table, though, right? Being 94th on the table, not that exciting. But you know what is exciting is earning badges. So from here, you can go to the badges page, and every time there's always something to be playing for, is what I tried to design this to do. So if you get signed up before the end of September, you will earn the exclusive founding members badge. This is only for this season. This is only through the end of September for those early people who join the league. And you will get to have this on your profile for as long as we run these leagues into the future. And who knows what kind of response we're going to get. But I'll tell you what, you're going to want to have this badge on your account next season, I promise. So you got to get in and get it early. After that, if you put a flag on your account, you get the flying the colors flag. If you make your first pick, you get one of these, and then I'll let everybody explore the rest of these, but there's a whole load of them. There's different ways to earn them.
You've got to show them the Southampton one.
I think fair enough. So opposition. So we have a badge for every opponent. And I just made up a lot of these images because I didn't want to use any, trademark materials. But my favorite is the Southampton badge. So if you grab your binoculars and you hide behind a tree or in the bush to watch the game, you can earn the Southampton badge. So the way you earn an opposition badge is you have to call the correct result against that opponent.
Right.
So if you call the correct result, you get the badge. If you call the exact score line, you get a super badge with some really cool flair around it. And you have 2 opportunities, obviously, per opponent to earn those badges. So, I mean, gentlemen, that's it in a nutshell. I'm excited to see how many folks want to join, want to come just be part of the conversation. And, and then 2, I'm excited to see what you guys end up putting into the show. Like, how does this become a regular segment? I would love to hear about the table and like who's winning. And, we've got all this fun stuff down here that'll show, who had the prediction of the week. We've got, you are on 2 points. The lads are on 2 points per average per game. The fans are only at 0.73. Lancaster Red has the most exact score lines so far this season. And so all these stats will just update all season long.
Wow.
As if I went for 4-3 for my prediction.
You did. That's what you picked.
I know. Yeah. I know.
There's a written record every time now.
Right. A couple of things we need to do, Tim. We need to make sure that even if all the lads aren't on, they give us our predictions.
100%. Because
forfeit.
Last
Remember
month,
the forfeit.
Yes. We'll do a forfeit. Yes. Last month, Andy and I were in a boardroom with the Wisla Krakow owner, Yaroslav. I feel like I'm back there again because it's just like it's a mind-blowing exercise into somebody's brain that's done this. And I know from your side of things, Ryan, it's probably very simple for you, but for me looking at it, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because
thank you.
It engages people, interacts with people, get your mates involved. Me and Andy will figure this out. We'll probably look at the table maybe every 5 games or something like that, or something, just to kind of give.
Let's do it every week. Let's see where we are predictions wise.
Yeah, and because it kind of mirrors the table then, the actual table in real life. But yeah, it's amazing. So we can't really thank you enough for devising this for us. It's cool.
I'm excited to do it. It's a lot of fun. It's been a labor of love. Just wanted to give back to the pod as best I could. All right. So real quick, then, you want to hear any more stats? I got a couple more I could throw at you just as a fun one. All right. So 108 players from 17 nations have signed up since we opened the doors on July 22nd.
Where's the most obscure one?
Well, actually, here, let me just share this. This is safe to share. So here we go. So worth a mention here. 2 of them called it correctly. Exactly right. Half the league backed us to win at Riverside. So we got that wrong. And then if we scroll down here, and then Cardiff away, we're at 81 people have picked as of this morning. 73 of them are backing a win. We saw that earlier. And then here are the signups. So we launched on July 2nd. We had 48 sign up and then 52 last week. And then let's see if we can blow this out of the water this week. And then here's the table that we talked about. And here are the badges that have been earned thus far. And then here are the nations. So this is what we have for players, and then player count, and then also points. So Australia, I would say probably the one that got me the most was Malaysia. I think was the one in Indonesia. We have a Panamanian. Yeah. And so some folks from Finland and Denmark. So yeah, you guys are global. I think we knew that, but it's kind of fun to see it and just know that it's really there.
Wow.
Wales is dragging its heels. We need to catch up to you guys.
I think you're about to.
Hope so. Amazing. This is so cool. Love it. I'm gonna go and do the same now. I know we already set one up, but do I need to set up another, or shall I go with one?
I'm just doing it as a fan.
Yeah. So do it as a fan. Just sneak in there as a fan, and when you do your scoreline predictions, we're putting that into the system on our own. So yeah, Tim, if you want to shoot me a message, if Reese or Liam or anybody doesn't show up, you can just say, "Oh, they predicted this," and I'll get it into the system for you. No problem.
Yeah, right.
And that's the host. That'll be the host's accounts. And then, feel free, have a cheeky little fan account that you're hiding under and, peeking in on the table and those types of things.
Well, seeing as we're on predictions, We've just given ours prior to your arrival, so we might as well tell you. We're going to have to get. What did Liam say? Liam said a draw, didn't he, Andy?
Yeah, I think he said 1 each. I said 2-1.
Okay.
Andy's gone 2-1 win. I've gone 2-1 win.
Okay.
Liam's gone 1 each. We just need to find Reece.
And the fan went 2-1 for Cardiff.
Thank you. 2-1 for Cardiff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I almost guarantee Reece will go for a draw.
Yeah, of course he will.
All right. Fair enough.
He's got to live that neck of the woods.
Ryan, let's get you back to bed. Thank you so much. I mean, I have never been so sparky at 3 a.m. after being called up. So, but thank you so much for that demonstration. Absolutely
no problem.
Brilliant. Love the green lanterns in the background.
Look, a proper nerd. I love it. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And Ryan, if you still want to chew the fat after this, just let me know and I'll come back on. And
let's do that. Yeah,
right.
You just want me to hang out? All right, cheers.
Yeah, so we're gonna introduce you now to Chris Wathan, who's going to take us through the last part of the pod as soon as I edit it together. But from us here in the studio, I might as well call it the studio. We've had all sorts in today.
Right. Christine Lampard over there. Go on.
We've had all sorts in today. I will say goodbye, and we'll see you again next week.
Like, subscribe, hype, sign up to the Predictions League, the Fearless Forecasts. And up the town, let's smash them on Monday. Come on.
Absolutely. There's a special newsletter going out as soon as I finish writing it later on with some Cardiff preview before the newsletter reverts to its normal price on Monday. Right. Okay. I feel like I'm on GMB. But anyway, let's go. Cheers, guys. See you later.
Take it easy. Thank you.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
We're here with Chris Wathan, who I'm going to say is a Cardiff City FC expert, just because he just told me beforehand he's had to swap up a little bit.
It's been the summer period, Andy. Come on now. It's no. Look, I you know what I'm like. I spread the love, and I don't want the loyal Fearless in Devotion podcast listeners to think that I'll be there with a Bluebird scarf or a Bluebirds bias on Monday evening, given that I spent half my year making the delightful drive up the Hereford Road to the racecourse. I like to spread the love. Bit of Newport, bit of Swansea, bit of Newport County, although I don't think there'll be any need to cover them this season unless there's a draw in one of the cups.
Yeah. I mean, come on, Chris. Everyone knows you're a Swansea. Every Cardiff fan knows you're a Swansea fan.
Every Swansea fan knows I'm a Cardiff fan. Someone at Newport County turned around and thought I was a Merthyr fan because, admittedly, I have been wearing a Merthyr ski hat to their games when winter hits. So that's what I like to do. I like to annoy everybody.
Okay, good. You're an equal opportunities annoy. I'm just my license for you is going towards that. Right. First off, is it a derby?
I guess it depends on your definition of a derby. I why not? Come on, why not? You know, derbies don't have to be nearest rivals. One of Cardiff City's fiercest derbies is the Seven-side derby between themselves and Bristol City. But there's Bristol Rovers and Newport County are just nestled in between. So what's the difference? Is Wrexham Shrewsbury not a derby?
Yeah, I'd say it is, but I just can't.
We need a new word. This is my thing. We just need a different word because this argument gets so tedious. Because people, it's not a derby, it's 4 hours away. And you go like, yeah, but it's a big game, and we need a different word to describe it, not like the Welsh, I don't know. A grudger. Yeah, there we go.
I did remember earlier on in my journalistic career trying to work out how we would say El Clasico in Welsh. Reece as
Reece?
A glasser?
I tried it. It doesn't really work, does it? So, look, whatever it is, I don't like using the phrase grudge match, but can we all agree there's a little bit more on it?
Absolutely.
Because whether you're a Cardiff fan that doesn't like the fact that Wrexham, last year for the first time since the early 80s were the highest placed side in Wales. Is that right? It was the early 80s was the last time the highest placed side in Wales?
I thought it was a bit later than that.
It might have been. Certainly, it was Wrexham's highest place, obviously, ever It is the first time they've all been in the second tier, all three clubs, since 1981. First time they've been in these three clubs been in the same division since 95. Now, you are testing me now. Whichever way, Cardiff fans aren't going to take too kindly to that. They see themselves as Wales's biggest club. Wrexham and their global appeal, once again illustrated by the recent tour of North America, would like to argue the contrary. And there's the friendly side to it as well, in terms of there'll be those who have stood next to each other on many a Wales away trip or Wales home trip, and Wrexham fans definitely will enjoy the chance to put one over on them, having spent many of those trips over the last decade or so, having to accept that they've been, Cardiff fans perhaps saying, who are you playing this week? Because the National League didn't matter. There's definitely an edge to it. And look, if it means that certain broadcasters magically pick them as the first game of the season because it gets the random fixtures are incredible, aren't they?
Yeah, by that.
I have no knowledge of that happens, by the way. But look, if there's more eyes on it, if it gets the season off to a bang, great. This is what it's about. So call it a derby or don't call it a derby, whatever your choice is. But let's not pretend that it's not got a little bit of extra something to it.
You say there's an edge to it. Now, I've got this firm thing that I don't look at the leagues below me, to be honest, because I'm a Wrexham fan and they're beneath me. So I have no idea what's been going on with Cardiff. I have no idea who plays for them. Some Colwill brothers are there or something. Lawler, he looks all right. Has he gone to West Ham? Tell me a bit about Cardiff. I can't see they've done a lot of business in the transfer market. I think they bought a boy in called Moynihan. Is that it? Have they sold quite a few or more likely to go out?
No, it's been really quiet, to be honest. Which is, do you know what? What I have really enjoyed, and I think says everything about how impressive Cardiff were last season and how Brian Barry Murphy has done wonders to really get people optimistic and positive and get rid of that sort of negative spiral and narrative that the club seemed to be stuck in for so long, is that normally fans would be panicked. They'll be up the wall by now. Say, where are the players? We haven't signed anyone. The club's a disgrace. We need to sort this out. We need to sort that out. There's a calmness from, certainly from the outside. I haven't been down to speak to anyone at the club in depth so far yet, but there's a genuine calmness about, right, okay, to borrow a phrase, trust in Barry. And because the job he did, not just in the style of football, not just to winning promotion back at the first attempt, but in re-energising a fan base by using academy products, local lads, guys who have been at the club's academy for a lot of time. And we all know that does make a difference, both with the way that the fans view them and the way that those players have that connection. That's been fantastic. And yes, I think, look, they've been in for players. Hitler Dahl was a Norwegian player that they seriously looked at, and that was talking decent money, 7 million or so. So that shows that it doesn't appear to be a case of there's no money, he's not being backed. I think it's there. I think he does exude calmness. He's very level and really impressive in a really non-headline grabbing way, if you want, which is quite annoying for a journalist. And I just think that he'll only buy if it adds value. And I think they will do more business. I think he will be backed, but I think he has a real confidence, not just a blind faith in the players that he has, but going, no, this is what I want to do. This is what worked for the players. And to be honest, I mean, they signed Nathan Trott, the goalkeeper, on a permanent basis, who was excellent last year in their promotion. You mentioned Moylan, who I thought did very well at Lincoln and scored on his debut in the League Cup win over Swindon. So that's an impressive start. I think holding on to players should never be underestimated. Yusuf Salak is someone I think could do really well in the Championship. He's going to lead the line for Cardiff, it looks like. Dylan Malola, Wales fans, Wrexham fans will know a lot about him. A lot of chat about interest in him. He's still in place. No one appears to be agitating for moves. I think they're in a good place, even though they haven't signed players. And to carry this point on, I don't know about you two, but I'm always a bit of a fan of clubs who come up and allow that momentum to continue. And, you know, even in Wrexham's promotion seasons, when they have added, Parky's always allowed the team that won promotion a chance to carry that momentum, to carry that ethos, that identity into the new season. And I'm never a big fan of clubs, and you see it more from Championship to Premier League, don't you? Where they just rip the guts out of a squad, thinking we need new players, we've got to have better players. And invariably, whatever that magic ingredient the clubs had, leading them to promotion, is quickly lost. So the fact that it's essentially the same team, I think bodes really well.
Before I hand you to Reece, back on this sort of give me an idiot's guide, can you just tell me what you know about where the ownership is at the moment? You say there's 7 million for a striker available, so there is money there. I mean, what's the situation there? Because all you hear is Vincent Tan is still in charge, but is he in charge? Does he care as much anymore? Did he ever care? I don't know.
Well, you know, that's up for individuals to you know, you can't sort of guess someone's motivation. But what I would say is that, you know, he's been at the club a long time now. And yes, the debt levels remain high, although there was a significant amount repaid relatively recently. But the brilliant Kieran Maguire put it fantastically on an interview I listened with him. I think it was regarding Newport County, actually. But the point remains the same. When you owe money to your own owners, it's a bit like if you lent your son or daughter money to go buy a car. You're never really going to expect that money back. So it's better than actually owing money to the bank or someone else. And I thought that was a really interesting way of putting on it. Vincent Tan isn't, you know, universally popular, should we put it like that, for a huge amount of reasons that perhaps we won't go into here. But he remains bankrolling the club. The club remain reliant on them. Anyone can take a look at their accounts. It actually says it in black and white every year through the director's notes. And there's 2 points I want to make on this. One is that obviously last year we saw a lot of talk of a potential takeover of Gareth Bale, of all people, being involved in a supposed interest. And I spoke to many people around the club at the time, and there was no need for Vincent Tan to sell when the club were in League One. You know, what was the point? Now they're in the Championship, and especially in a division where that there's an extra 2 places to take a crack at the Premier League. Why on earth would you sell now? Because you're almost at the Premier League where things get interesting again. Vincent Tan does have the money to support the club and to support the club's ambitions, but he does it in a very different way to a lot of other club owners. And sometimes well, the second point I was going to make that leads on to this is that I think Brian Barry Murphy manages upwards really, really well, which is an element of management that can get overlooked sometimes. Phil Parkinson does it well at Wrexham. Granted, there's a different type of ownership there. But how you manage up is important. How you get owners to believe in what you're doing and gain that trust. And Neil Warnock was excellent at Cardiff, and perhaps there's no surprise that his period in charge was the most successful in some time at Cardiff City Stadium. I think it was really interesting. Brian Barry Murphy went and spent his holiday in Malaysia. And make no mistake, he was out there and met Vincent Tan many, many times. And if a manager can, you know, as well as having a promotion at the first attempt with 91 points to back it up and a style of football and using academy players, if you go and sell your vision and what you want to do to the owner, then that's going to bode well, isn't it? And I think that's perhaps why you see, you know, the club being prepared, if they can, to spend money. And on Brian Barry Murphy, who talk about, you know, people not leaving, signed a new contract. I think that's really important and a sign of where he is, because I think clubs will and are looking at him. Every time he talks about Cardiff, including the build-up to Monday's game, he talks in a way that he didn't realise how big the club was with its support base and the potential And I think that's where you can see the potential. It's always been there for Cardiff, and if you can harness it and continue to build, then I think it's a great match so far. All said with a caveat without a ball being kicked in the championship this season, of course.
I was going to say, on the pitch, I mean, we've talked about them not making that many sign-ins, and they had this team that's obviously did a great job in League One. Do you think maybe they're going to be lacking a bit of experience? They're a young side, aren't they? If they have a bad start, is that a worry for them?
That would be interesting, although they do have a little bit of experience in the squad in the likes of Chambers and Robertson, guys. And this was such an incredible piece of management, I thought, and a brave piece of management from Brian Barry Murphy last year. Chambers, being at Arsenal, ex-teammate of Aaron Ramsey, dropped down into League One, having been a Premier League player. Callum Robertson dropped down into League One. They didn't start the season under Brian Barry Murphy. He was given the likes of Dylan Lawler a chance and youngsters a chance. It was a brave move. And again, we draw the comparison with Phil Parkinson, who's never been afraid to, as well as getting that team spirit, of making brave decisions, ruthless decisions. When you back it up with results, then you can really get a buy-in. He did that early on, and I think those players have really bought into it. They weren't sulking, which could have easily been the case. So I think those players have been more key than ever. Big players in the dressing room, senior players that had to bide their time, saw what was doing, thought, actually, I want to be a part of this. This could be something special. So I think that experience is there. So in terms of experience on the pitch, yes. But you can ask me about the fans next, aren't you, Reese?
Well, no, not at all, never. What I was going to say was, though, before Andy asks you for his prediction at the end, for your prediction, which I'm sure you'll studiously avoid giving, I wonder what you would. Is this our first time at the Cardiff City Stadium, Andy? Wrexham, I'm pretty sure it is, isn't it? Obviously, I've been there quite a few times, but and lots of Wrexham fans will have done. What would be your guide for those who've never been? Do you rate it? Will the atmosphere be good?
Oh, it can be, but that's the same for any ground. It'll be great on Monday, and I'm harking back to last year, but I think it was a really important year in Cardiff City's recent history, because it could have really unravelled, couldn't it? And I remember the first game of the season, forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but I think it was against Peterborough, and there was a few mistakes, and we're talking about those kids making mistakes, which kids are going to do, and I don't mean to be disparaging when I say that, young, inexperienced players. And it could have easily turned, but they came through it, and and fans will forgive mistakes from players that are one of their own. And it allowed them the time to make those mistakes and grow as a side to get.
Unless they're Danny Ward, then they won't.
Yeah, perhaps case in point. Yeah, let's see. There's a mistake made in the first 5 minutes at Cardiff, and the U's and the R's are out from the home fans already. No, I do remember one fan turning around me, stop with all this tippy-tappy stuff, get it forward. 8 minutes gone, I think it was, in the new season last year. They stuck with it, and they got the job done, and no one's saying a bad word. And the scenes at Reading were fantastic. And I think, we talked about the re-energizing the fans. I remember speaking to this with Sooty, Richard Sutcliffe, who listeners will know, covering Wrexham for The Athletic, and about how Cardiff. I was telling him how Cardiff fans are really enjoying going to a lot of grounds like a generation haven't been to. Sort of a bit of a throwback, and rediscovering that away day, away from some of the, and you've been there, some of the bowls at the Championship, the concrete bowls the Championship can be. He did make the point that, throwing back to the Leeds United example, when they spent, too many years in League One, the novelty will wear off after a season. So they got the job done really well and maintained that enthusiasm. And I think that'll carry on into the Championship. I think there's a freshness about Cardiff, and I'm excited to see what they can do, and the pressure will be off. Some people talking about them struggling, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Are they going to push and challenge? I don't think so. I think they're a bit light, but that's the beauty, isn't it? Should we enter can I have the first cliche of the season?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Championship, anyone can beat anyone on their day, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. In one of those funny 2 halves, yeah. Right, I'm going to ask, not one, but 2 predictions. Firstly, I want your prediction for the game. Secondly, I want your prediction for where the 3 Welsh sides will finish in the Championship. The first one the second one, I'm not sure you can.
I was going to be trying to be really funny then before you added the word Championship and give you my Cymru Premier prediction. But look, Monday, I don't know. First game of this 2-2.
Yeah,
I think both sides would have put a bit of a show on, and I think everyone will take that perhaps. Where the sides will finish in the Championship, I'm intrigued by Swansea. I think they've done some interesting business. Losing Galbraith is a big blow. Wrexham fans saw how good he was in that game at the racecourse last year. He's obviously gone to Stoke, but Ross Stewart's a clever signing if they can keep him fit and juiced. I like they've got from Motherwell, so some interesting signings from Swansea. I think Wrexham would have the strength, and crucially, I think they also have the strength off the field to go for it. I think they were, I think there was a bit of a trick missed last year in January, and not for want of trying, but didn't get those players for the momentum to really get over the line. I don't think that would happen this year. I think there's still room for manoeuvre in this window. So I think with that in mind, I think Wrexham, then Swansea, and I think then Cardiff, but there won't be much in it. And this is the thing that gets me about, right? When you see the tables about where everyone's going to finish, there's differences in the Championship, isn't it? When you talk about, I think they could be, I think they could be challenging for the playoffs. You could be challenging for the playoffs and finish 13th.
Yeah. There's a big range, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. And it all depends how the sections, it all depends how many are clear away going for automatic, how many are dead and buried going for relegation, whether that eases pressure or not. There's going to be a whole host of teams in the middle, and it's about that consistency. But yeah, I think I've given you a prediction. And when I go on the Swansea and Cardiff podcast, I'll change the order up, okay?
Yeah, good man. You can come back. Well done, Chris.
Will do, and I'll be up the racecourse next Saturday, I think. So I'll look out for you then.
I'll be there too. Right. I'll let's get a quick pint in before you drive back.
Let's stick to a coffee, shall we, Andy?
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Chris.
Cheers.
Cheers.